get this going. Okay. So Mawcdrums.
Yes, sir.
Mawcdrums. How are you doing today, man? By the way.
I'm doing well.
Nice. It was kind of interesting. I was thinking, like, how did you come up with the name Mawcdrums?
Sure. Actually, well, my name is Mark. First of all, I had a buddy who, in 6th grade, we met each other because we both had ICQ, and we were the only 2 people in the entire class who were on the internet and had ICQ. So we like shared ICQ numbers, and he happened to write a message on my yearbook that was like, "Hey Mawc, I'll come to your pool party, Tom." And then for some reason I just thought it was funny that he called me Mawc instead of Mark, and it kind of stuck, and that became my online name. It was just Mawc for the longest time. And then I started playing drums, and somehow, like, one website, Mawc, was taken or something, so I just happened to like think of something. I was like, what else can I add to this? And I don't want it to be like Mawc 13789, so I was like, Mawcdrums, and it worked. So
there you go. Nice. So like, I was there for like your first. Hold on one second.
Sure.
Oh wow, I got a package. Thank you.
Oh, nice.
Package. All right, cool.
Package.
So I was there for like one of your first streams, but like, what got you like into speedrunning? Like, what was the whole motivation or idea behind that?
It's hard to say, man. Like, I really was into it a lot, like way prior to Super Metroid. I was watching task videos of games done quickly, just things that like impressed me. Like, I think the first one that I saw that was really amazing was like a Super Mario Brothers 3 task where he was in like World 8 and he was hitting literally every single cannon and not hitting the ground ever, and just like getting one up after one up after one up, and I was like, holy shit, this is fucking amazing. Like, how can someone do this? And it kind of you know, turned me on to the whole idea that people can be pushed to limits that they wouldn't normally be pushed to, and they can like excel in things that, you know. So I decided to go for it with a few games. I did Super Mario Brothers 2 US first for a while. I learned the strats to that, and it was pretty fun. And then I moved on to like Super Mario 64 for a little bit. I didn't actually ever complete a run, but I learned maybe like half a game or so. And then after that, I just kind of got into Super Metroid, and at that point, I really started to equate the actions and memorization and repetition to like the same sort of like part of my brain that I was using to learn instruments and like musical stuff, and it was kind of the same discipline. Like, practice makes perfect. You're not going to get it right unless you do it right, like all that sort of stuff, you know what I mean? So
right,
it really kind of, it was like the same idea, you know, so it worked out.
Right. And the movement for Super Metroid alone is pretty insane, and it's pretty hard to get used to if you're just like first casually playing it, you know?
Mm-hmm.
It's one of those games that like you really got to push it to the limits to start actually seeing progress. But once you start seeing progress, like, you fall into that pattern, and just like you were saying, like, people like put hours and hours of time into these things, and it's pretty nuts. But
it's the whole idea, like, when I first started, progress seemed really slow, and I had no way of really measuring if I was progressing or not.
Right.
And really, as soon as I got my first time down and I could run against some splits and I could see that I was getting green like most of the time, every time I was splitting, I was like, oh man, I'm doing better than I was last time. That's really cool. Like, I wonder if that'll continue, you know? And it just started to really like push me to like kind of go against myself, and it was really rewarding because you kind of get these rewards of like you just did better than you ever have before, you know what I mean, every single time.
Right.
So it's like, it's really cool.
Yeah, dude, definitely. Like live split and W split are such awesome things. Like, it's the same way for me. Like Mega Man X, I kind of hit a wall at like 54, and I'm like, why can't I get any better? And then suddenly you just naturally realize that you're just starting to do better. And, it's pretty crazy.
It just happens.
Right, right. So speedrunning is one thing. What got you into actually streaming?
Yes. I would say the first person who I ever saw that was a streamer was Trihex. And I had watched just a bunch of AGDQ stuff, and I realized that everyone streamed, but I happened to see Trihex's run, and I was like, damn, that's... Like, I played Yoshi's Island, and I was terrible at it, and I like realized how ridiculous it was that he was doing all this stuff, and I was like, wow, and like, it's really cool that he, you know, just happens to stream this thing. So I happened to like search for him on YouTube, and of course that was like a good one to search for because he's so ridiculously popular and like kind of the person to search for if you want to know about speedrunning and Twitch, you know.
Right.
And I happened upon his YouTube channel, and I saw like his controller cam, and he was just like chatting with his chat, and I was like, dude, this is really cool. This is like super interactive, and people can ask him questions about it, and you know, it's not just like there's these random super obscure videos that come out every couple of years from some like super genius guy who's like, hey, I can beat the game ridiculously, you know.
Right,
it's like meeting people with each other and like figuring this stuff out together, and I thought that was amazing. And I watched that for a bit. I watched Super Mario 64 for a bit, and I got into that community for a little, and then I watched a few Zelda games, and then I happened across Super Metroid just looking through AGDQ videos kind of like randomly, and I happened across, I think it was Garrison's run of Super Metroid, and that's how I ended up coming into that community. I think the first person I saw playing Super Metroid was Oats and Goats, and it was like I was instantly hooked because he just says ridiculous things and is hilarious and, you know, and is amazing at the same time. And I was like, wow, this is, and everyone in the chat was really cool, and I was like, this is a cool community, and you know, that was it. And that's really what brought me into the idea of streaming, because I really started seeing this game that I really wanted to play, and I started like practicing it while watching them, and I was like really intrigued by like the tricks and everything like that. And I did a lot of like movement-based games before this. I did like Quake Live, where you had to learn like strafe jumping techniques, and there's a lot of strategies for every map, you know, movement strategies and stuff like that, just to be able to get to places and you know, beat people. And it's very similar to that in that regard, just practicing the same repetitive sort of motions. And that's when I like started to realize I could probably stream too, and I would enjoy it. And I could at least, like, you know, people could offer advice to me, and I'm not necessarily, I don't know where it's going to go. It's not even like I have big plans. It was just kind of like, might as well stream it while I'm doing it, you know, so.
Right. And through streaming, like, you meet a lot of cool people too. And is there anyone that, like, in the community, like, or in any community, or even the SM community, that like inspired you to keep pushing your times down, or like...
Well, I think the really cool thing is, as I came in as a new person in the chat, I could also see other new people come into the chat.
Right.
And it was interesting because they were chatting along with me for the first month or two, and then they started running at the same time I started running.
Right.
So you always have this group of peers that's kind of coming down the leaderboards with you. And it's interesting because every single time that I've seen a new player start, they always have like 2 or 3 people who have started with them, and they always race with each other, and they always kind of like, you know, like beat each other a little bit and say, haha, I beat you, and then the next person's like, oh no, you didn't, and they always just kicking back and forth, you know, and that's the kind of healthy competition that really, you know, promotes it. And like, you know, obviously it was like really intimidating when you look at like a Zost like 4408, I think was the world record when I started, and I was like, dude, like,
Yeah, man.
away, you know, and like, so that's not what you go for. You just go for like the times and the camaraderie with the people who are like also learning the game with you at the same time, and you kind of go back and forth with each other, you know. So that really helped me out a lot.
Right. I feel like sometimes it's easier to keep motivated when you're not trying to put your expectation too high.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, definitely.
First.
So with that, like, I remember, it's crazy because I've been in your chat since you pretty much first started, and you're one of my favorite streamers, I gotta say. Like, you have such a chill environment. Like, I remember you were stuck at like the 103 or 102, and then like a month later, you've got like a 57 and a 56. Like, damn, man, you really tanked it out. Like, so that brings me to the question, like, what's your like practice method? Like, what do you do? Like, what helps you get your time down?
Well, when I first started, I got a lot of flack. I really didn't do a lot of beginner strats in the beginning, and it was really a struggle at first. I had a long period where I was just being stuck at failing things, you know what I mean? And the main thing that got me past that, obviously, was just getting a little bit more better technique-wise. But I would say, in general, just going from, you know, over an hour to sub-hour was quite an effort, and I really thought it was going to be relatively free to get a sub-hour time, and suddenly I realized at about, like, 101 that I was like, dude, that was actually, like, in my mind at the time, I was like, that was a pretty good run. Like, I don't know, I have to actually watch my video to see where I can improve to possibly save time, you know, and it was like, huh. So at that point, I watched my videos, I started, like, kind of self-analyzing a little bit, and I wouldn't go into, like, ridiculous depth with it, but at the same time, I would just sort of, you know, look at what I was failing and wanted to just, you know, get used to things that I was being bad at, so I could just be conscious of that as I was going into it the next run and just be like, okay, don't be bad at it. And, so that helped in general. One of the biggest things that helped me go under an hour was just the idea of, like, keep pushing forward. Like, no matter what, if you screw up really badly, don't go back and, like, attempt the trick again. Just, like, say, I screwed up, and now you're on to the next thing. Like, you just got to keep going and, like, just get the heck out of there. Like, keep going fast, you know?
Yeah, definitely, man.
That made a big difference. But as far as my practice routine, but this guy at the Game Saver, and
so nice.
It was helpful for sure, and definitely is, like, one of the biggest things that I would say has dropped my times. Like, of all the things I have, that was probably the one. Besides switching from emulator to console, that was like another enormous difference. Just input lag and such. It's amazing.
I totally remember that step, that when you were like, dude, it's so much different. You're like, it's so much better. Yeah, it definitely does make a difference. That input delay can screw you up so much.
Yeah, it's pretty crazy. It's definitely it's a big difference. Like, people, you don't feel it when you're used to an emulator. You can be playing it. I can get on an emulator, and at first I'm like, what the hell? But in like 20 minutes, I'm like back to normal, and, you know, it's like not that big of a deal. But when I go to the console again, I'm like, whoa, it's like creepily precise. It's like instantaneous, like speed of light. It's there, you know what I mean? And it's, you don't realize that it's not happening until you go back and forth, you know? So that was a big difference. Like, the first time I went on console, I got like a minute PB, and I was at a 55 at that time, so I cut a minute off from 55 to 54, like my second console run ever, I think.
Yeah.
So it was a big difference.
I remember. That's pretty insane, dude. Like, how long have you been speedrunning Super Metroid for now?
I started practicing in like December, I would say. My first tinkerings with the game, the first I played the game at all, was like last August. I did like a vanilla, like normal ass playthrough. It took me like 12 hours, you know, like one of those. And then probably like mid to late September was like, I just started like thinking about like, oh, I wonder if I can get up Red Tower like these guys do. You know what I mean?
Right.
And it didn't happen for a long time. And I did like a little bit of like messing around on the emulator between then and December, but I never really like devoted any time to it. And then late December, I was like practicing a bit, and then early January, I started streaming, and I hadn't finished a run until probably January 10th or 11th or something like that. And that was like an hour and 40 minutes or 42 minutes. And then a few days later, it was like an hour and 20. And then a couple days after that, it was an hour 16. A couple days after that, it was an hour 8. You know, it just keeps chunking off. So,
Right.
but yeah, it was, it's only been about 6 months, 7 months.
That's really fast, honestly. Like, I can definitely tell, like, even if you just go on your stream, like, you're always doing constant, like, hour at a time, like, practice segments. And you can tell you're really dedicated to it, which is awesome to watch. So, like, we've all been there, like, Super Metroid runners, you know, you have D-boost, Shine Spark strats, like, ledge grabs, certain movements. Like, what was, like, the hardest trick for you to get down consistently, do you think?
Well, I would say as a beginner, it was probably like the big tight jump sort of, like there's a few gatekeepers for sure, like Red Tower, Ocean Fly, like even just 2 sparks across, like getting the idea of a short charge and a horizontal spark there. And then Bubble Mountain, and, you know, a few of those were really, really difficult in the beginning, and it almost felt like I don't ever know if I'm going to be able to friggin' do this game because it's just, they were so hard to get every once in a while. But in general, as far as, I mean, the amount of time really ground into something, like, it would probably be between Red Tower, Kraid Quick Kill, and, you know, just general short charge strategies throughout the game, you know, anywhere, like full halfy, the stuff, like anywhere you do a Shine Spark, all that sort of stuff, I've put tons of time into, you know.
Right. And, obviously everyone knows Fan Tune is something that sinks a lot of time as well.
Yes.
Yes.
That's one of the big ones, for sure.
So, like, now that you've been playing Super Metroid for a while, say someone new comes into the community, like, what advice would you give them for, like, speedrunning Super Metroid?
Definitely have to be patient. You have to be intrigued by it enough to want to discover and learn on your own. You know, you need to go digging for information. You can't just, like, expect it to fall in your lap and it's going to be easy. It's as much as Fuzda likes to say it's free.
Yeah.
It's definitely not. You know what I mean? It takes a lot of effort and a lot of you know, attention and dedication, and it's one of those things where it's very rewarding. You know, the better you get, the faster you go, and the much better you get, the much faster you go, and it's really cool to see how fast you can get. I really enjoy it. It's a lot of fun.
We have a question from Begrimed. Is this something you would feel about investing possibly thousands of hours of time into?
I probably have already. If you had asked me that question in the summertime, before I started running this game, I probably wouldn't have answered the same way. You know what I mean? Because I wouldn't have thought that it would have taken me that much time to get, like, sub-hour and just be able to finish the game. I guess my ideal goal was, what's up, Kojak, was just to be able to finish the game if I wanted to, and sit down and just do some of the tricks. You know what I mean?
Right.
But then when I started improving and really seeing the benefit of, like, how fun it was to be able to, like, rip through the game quickly, it just became like addicting. You know, it's I haven't really put much time into other games since I've been playing this.
Yeah, man, I can't tell you how many hours, like, since I started speedrunning to, like, now that I've spent in front of a CRT with some sort of retro game going on.
Yep.
Yeah, it's pretty crazy. Let's see. So it's not just speedrunning you do on your channel, but you also do like music occasionally, right?
Mm-hmm.
What kind of stuff do you do with that?
Yeah, I've been doing quite a few things in general. Like, I have been trying to learn piano over the past year or so, and I've actually had like some mixed feedback in regards to Twitch. Like, some people are very adamant that Twitch is for gaming and not for music, and you know, I don't have any problem with their opinion because I feel like it was developed on that, and sure, but at the same time, there's certainly a great output for creative minds of all types, you know. And like I said before, I really find that the stuff that I do, the repetition, the learning, the muscle memory is all so tied into the same part of the brain that I use for learning instruments that, like, people who play Super Metroid, 94% of them I know are also musicians or artists or something like that. And it's interesting because they all kind of feed off of that same thing. So I really don't see a problem putting it up there. And, you know, I really enjoy it because people come in and they'll leave little comments about my my music and stuff like that. And, you know, sometimes I'll be in Fruity Loops arranging songs, and sometimes I'll just hop on the piano and improvise, or I'll be playing guitar or whatever. But, you know, it's pretty fun, man. And like Einbert the other day hosted a guy who was glass blowing.
Oh wow.
And like that's the coolest thing, man. Like, it's so cool to be able to see people doing things in their own creative element and just, you know, living their lives. And it's not necessarily like it has to be all about games. I don't think, you know, you can. This is a pretty cool website for all sorts of things like that.
Right, like I know Retrophile TV is another friend of ours. He plays guitar on his stream sometimes. I play guitar on my stream sometimes. So, you know,
Yep.
it's always a
Yeah.
good time. And I feel like Twitch, yeah, is at its core a gaming and like gaming stream outlet, but it can be used for a lot of different things.
For sure. Especially, you know, if it's a multifaceted stream, I don't see any problem with it. You know, even if it's just music, I don't care. I think it's cool. You know, it's whatever.
Right, like I came into your stream the other night with I want to say something too. The elevator fan tune was so funny. The Game Saver did some weird things.
Oh yeah, that was pretty interesting.
But it was cool to come in your stream the other night and just hear like Pearl Jam playing.
Yep.
It's definitely cool. Like doing practices with music is cool too.
Yeah, I enjoy that. It helps the atmosphere. You know, if people are in there for a nostalgic feeling and they come in and they like hear, like, I'm not putting that music on because that's the music that was out at the same time as the game. It just happens to be a coincidence, but like that's the music that I like, man, and it's what I like. I don't know, it just makes me feel good, and I just, you know, I think about that stuff, and it's cool when people also feel that way and they come in and they reminisce about those feelings, and everyone can share the same, you know, ideas about how they feel about certain things and stuff, and, you know, it's cool.
Kojak has a question. Were there any particular hurdles or tricks that led to a sense of vast improvement?
Sure. Actually, I'll answer Goop's question because it looks like we missed one, too. He said, how does your family cope with your hobby, investing so many hours into streaming? Just because it's a good question.
Right.
I try not to stream if I am the, like, sole caretaker of the girls, because I have two children and a wife. I do sometimes, but, like, you know, I'll try not to be like, get out of here, I'm streaming. You know, I'd like to spend time with them, so they don't really mind it all that much because it doesn't really interfere with our day-to-day. I still, you know, do all the responsibilities of being a parent and spend time with them and everything. You just got to be responsible about it, and, you know, I just take up a lot more of my free time. Yeah, don't sit on daddy's sandwich, honey. It takes up a lot more of my free time in the evenings because, you know, they're asleep and I can actually concentrate on it more. So that's the main thing. But yeah, Kojak's question: any particular hurdles or tricks? The vast improvement. I think a big one would be like short hop mock balls. Getting really fast with them and like being confident with them. and then in general, like short charging.
That's a good
learning
trick.
that. Yeah. That took a long time to learn, dude, and I didn't realize that there was varying degrees of getting it, and you can get it while running faster if you hold dash longer, and you're still gonna charge shorter than you would have, but you're gonna be moving faster than you would if you did a quicker tap. You know what I mean? So all of that sort of stuff. Yeah, damage boosting was a huge one. I've actually gotten like really confident in damage boosts recently, and that makes a huge difference. One of the big things that's right now that I'm dealing with that's feeling like it's going to be a vast improvement, and it's not even the full half-E or anything like that, considering I'm getting somewhat consistent at it. It's more the bot wound fight. Suddenly I just feel like I'm going to get like either a 1 or a 2 round, and like that's it. Like there's no like standing there like shooting 40 charge shots at him anymore, you know? So like I feel like that's automatically going to save a lot of time, and that was that's one of the things that I didn't think was going to be that hard to learn, but I'm still here, you know, at 51-14 figuring it out.
That's funny though, 'cause as soon as you mentioned the Botwoon fight in the game feed, you're actually fighting Botwoon right now.
Yeah.
That's good stuff. Yeah, man, Botwoon is like one of the number one run killers.
Yeah, it is, dude. It takes forever. It's like the longest fight, and you can be bad at it, and that's what happens. So,
indeed. Einbird is a question. What's your goal for old route? Any plans to learn new route, or are you going to do hybrid route?
Definitely plan on learning new route. I'm probably going to start just like static is and go into a hybrid route, which I think is a really cool idea. It's kind of like it's like a baby step into it. It's still really difficult, don't get me wrong. It's like a baby step off of a 1,000-foot cliff, but it's still it's a way that's much more approachable than just completely getting destroyed in lower Norfair every time. So as far as my goal for old, I would say like I want to get sub 50. And then I'll probably just move on to solely new route stuff, most likely. But yeah, that's mainly it.
Nice. New route is insane, and apparently there was some guy came up with like a low percent any percent route recently, like a 49 or no, what is it, 4239 or something like that.
Whoa. The one that was on that Super Metroid FTP YouTube page or whatever.
Yeah.
Or something. Some Japanese thing that went up. Yeah, that's pretty interesting. It's interesting to think about, you know, if there's ever going to be any, you know, further optimizations beyond route changes, you know what I mean? Like if there's going to be any new like minor glitches discovered or anything like that, like ED's here, he's going to be the one who knows about all that stuff. But like in general, you know, the concept that it can change so vastly that a year ago people thought that we were running into the end of the possibilities of saving time on a route, and then suddenly world record is 2 minutes faster than it, you know what I mean? And it's like you never know what's going to happen, you know?
Right.
It's pretty cool. Let's see, what was this question?
Oh,
there it is. With your new addition to your collection, the SD2 SNES, do you think doing randomizers are going to further your skills and possibly inspire you to run other categories, like the best one, X Factor SSRTA? I definitely am going to be... I'm thinking that randomizers are definitely going to further my skills. If anything, it'll improve my movement, just for the idea of staying alive, because you get a lot of early suitless, difficult rooms where you can't get hit by things, and I think that'll be really beneficial toward, you know, new route, lower Norfair, because you don't want to get touched by anything there, and that's probably a pretty good thing to get used to. So I'm kind of looking forward to that for sure. You know, other categories, yeah, I would like to do different stuff, but I started with GT Classic and GT Code just to get out of like the monotony of running any percent and just kind of being burnt out by it and have something else to go to. And I kind of feel like that is going to happen with New Route next. Like I can feel like kind of like this persuasion to be like, ooh, it's like learning the game all over again, and it's like a new thing to uncover. So that's where it's going next. But the SD2 SNES is definitely going to be the thing that makes it happen.
That's going to be sweet too. That's going to be awesome.
Dude, nice hair.
Yeah, my hair's kind of crazy right now. So earlier in the chat, I saw Steer Force hype. I think you were probably the only person that's ever completed Super Metroid with a steering wheel. That's pretty awesome. You want to expand on that a little bit? Like, how was that?
That was rather difficult. Took me quite a while, but I don't know. It was I purchased the steering wheel last year, and I was playing iRacing, and my buddy was like way into it, and he had a Mazda Miata, and like actually went to tracks and stuff, and he's like, dude, you gotta try this game, it's really like realistic and cool and stuff, and you gotta buy this like $260 steering wheel and pay $12 a month for like 5 months. I'm like, oh, okay. So I did, and then I didn't ever play it again. So now there's a steering wheel sitting there, and I was like thinking in my head, as I was using my different controllers and stuff, I went into that cabin and I saw the steering wheel in there, and I was just like kind of flipping through different gamepads that I had when I was emulating Super Nintendo, and it was kind of difficult to find one that I enjoyed because the D-pads were all terrible, and I was like, what is this? Like, why am I'm like breaking out a spin all the time and all that stupid stuff. And turns out that I saw the steering wheel sitting down there at that time, and I was like, I wonder if you could even use that like as an emulator mapping thing, And I decided to like play Dirt 2 or something and plug it in, and I loaded up SNES 9X and just wanted to see if I could bind left and right to like the directions of the steering wheel. Yeah. And as soon as I found out that you could, I was like, oh man. It's like I probably should reserve this idea for a stream in the future, like a follower special or something like that, and that was kind of went into my head, and then eventually it happened.
So as a whole, like, what do you think of the Super Metroid community? Like, did you find it pretty inviting to come into, or was it like at first it was like, there's, I mean, you don't have to get in like logistics of maybe people you don't like, but like,
oh yeah, no, I won't be, yeah, no, but like 99.99999 everyone is really freaking cool. Like everyone was super helpful, like really awesome. Like there was really, I can't even think of a person specifically who I would say that I didn't enjoy, but there's certain like attitudes that might have been like not the best, but compared with like Mario 64 or Zelda communities or anything like that, the amount of drama here is like zero, and everyone's super chill, everyone is really mature, everyone respects everyone else, everyone offers other people help. It's awesome. Like people discuss really deep topics in chat and don't get offended by it because they're big boys and girls and they know what's going on. You know what I mean? It's a really cool community, and like everyone's helpful towards each other and nice, and I really enjoy it. It's been the best one that I've encountered on Twitch for sure.
Yeah, definitely, and I'd have to agree with you. The Super Metroid community is sweet.
Yeah, it feels the most like my peers.
Right, yeah.
It's my favorite runner to watch.
Favorite runner.
I'd have to say Kojak. No. It's hard to say. I really like. I don't particularly care for big time Twitch people most of the time. I'm a little bit turned off by like some of the prepackaged like, Boosh, welcome to the Bro Club. You're another member of the Bro Society. Pound my fist. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like every single time someone follows, and it's like, oh my god, dude. Like, you know, whatever. But Big John or Game J06 is probably my favorite like streamer runner to watch because he's so entertaining and he's big and he doesn't let it like get to him, you know what I mean? He's just a normal dude and he's just like really cool and I enjoy him, man. He's an awesome guy.
Yeah, Game J06 definitely is pretty sweet. He's got some of the best emotes too, which is pretty awesome.
Yeah, he does.
So, as far as your stream as a whole, like, what do you try to bring to the table for your viewers? Like, I know you have, like, awesome gifs on your stream, like, all the time. Like, what is it, Dragon Strats, where the kid's, getting knocked over by the swing, like, both ways. Oh, man, that's pretty funny.
Yeah, there's a lot of stuff where, I don't know, I think of things that I enjoy and that I think people would find funny, and, you know, not necessarily always having to relate to Super Metroid, but sometimes I try to fit it in there. But in general, I just like to keep it fresh, and I change it up, you know, every week or so, and just, you know, get new gifts, or, you know, I change the playlists in my Winamp playlist so that it's not the same music all the time, but it's still, you know, the same sort of idea. Yeah, egg rolls, hype. And, but, you know, I try to create an environment that's peaceful, funny, like relaxing, and like, you know, just something that you'd want to be, like, you'd want to be there. You wouldn't want to be like, for me, I do this as a way to relax and to kind of like not think about the major problems of my life. You know, I'd rather enjoy myself. This is my time to like be me and chill, and you know, that's how I portray myself in my stream.
That's a good way to go about it, I think. It's because when things, like, when you start taking yourself, like, too seriously, you know, like, things start losing, you know, their luster, and everyone kind of, like, it makes it weird for chat, and I agree with, like, big-name streamers who, some of them, like, don't give the people who are actually there to watch them, like, the time of day.
Yep, exactly.
Yeah, and it's always, I know for me, really nice to come into a stream where the actual streamer is, like, you know, basically like welcoming everyone that comes in their stream, and that's huge for a lot of people for a lot of different reasons. So
yeah, for sure. I actually I was watching this video that Trihex put up on YouTube earlier, and it was can speedrun streams really become successful, you know? And he means like top streamers, you know? And he's saying that it's not necessarily the content of your stream why people go to it. It's for the fact that it's interactive and you can speak with someone right now about a subject, whether it be the game or whatever else you decide. And if that person interacts with you and, you know, is cool to talk with and all that stuff, then, you know, you're gonna get places and it's gonna happen. But if it's a what's up, Ben? If it's if it's one of those things where, you know, you kind of, I don't know, it's interesting to think about it in the way like he was talking about. Like, you can definitely be successful if you're interactive, and if you, like, for example, have a no camera up, no voice up, no chat on your stream, and someone comes in and asks you a question, and, you know, like 4 minutes later when you're at a break in the game, you like type a very well thought out response to them, like probably 90% of those people would already be gone, you know what I mean?
yeah.
And it's so sad to say that, but like it's definitely a big part of it is how interactive you are with people and all that stuff. And, you know, that was one of the big things that I really try to do. I try to be interactive with people. This is my way to be social, you know. I like kind of hanging out with all you guys, so that's what it's all about.
Definitely. Would you say that giving comment, like, I know obviously it's hard at first, but would you say you're comfortable with giving like commentary / keeping up with chat while you're speedrunning?
Yeah, at first it definitely was suddenly like, oh my god, I don't know how I'm going to manage all this. Like, you know, it seemed like, yeah, just kind of glancing between door transitions, and then it's like, you got to remember what you're doing in between the door, you know, and it's hard to formulate a response and read a message and, you know, stutter 3-tap, shine spark through a door while you're like, you know, trying to consider the weight of like a moral issue that you're talking about with your chat or whatever, you know what I'm saying? So it's like that took a while to get used to, but you know, now that I'm more into it, you get used to it for sure. It's really it's easy to kind of glance back and forth now.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's I feel that with project base. It's sometimes it's hard to keep up, especially when you're on PB pace, you know, like you're just like, oh god, like I can't. You want to look over, but at the same time, like you don't want to mess up, you know. Sometimes it's hard to balance the two.
Yep.
You got me all choked, Mawc.
Love you, Ben. Yeah. See, this is what's cool. Like all these people in here are all like people who I see every day. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. And it's like. That's what I'm talking about. This is why the community is awesome, because these are all the people who I speak with on a regular basis, and you know, that's awesome. It's really cool.
Mm-hmm. Also, I don't know if you said you were down for it or not, but running Super Metroid any % in Beastathon.
Yes,
yeah.
I would be down. Hopefully, I'll be a bit more precise by that time. But,
yeah.
You know, it's interesting that I say that because, you know, I get lots of, like, congratulations all the time on PBs and such, but at the same time in my head, I always have this, like, oh, man, that run was terrible. Like, every time I glance at the PB video, I'm like, oh, I fell, and oh, God. So, like...
Right, yeah.
That's the stuff. You just have this, like, self-analytical mind that is just, you know, it's the musician's mind, like... None of your songs are ever done, you know? They're never, like, perfect. It's always, like, rough draft number 5, you know?
Right. Yeah.
So,
yeah.
But yeah, I'm definitely looking forward to the marathon idea. That'd be really cool.
Yeah, man. And, it's gonna be pretty neat. It'll be like a 2-day thing, so I'll try to get your run in there when it's most convenient for you, but I think it would be really cool because, we had Daddy P, not 3D, if you're familiar with him. We had him.
Yep.
We had him run it last year, so I always try to like switch it up every year to get some new people in there.
Yep, but, definitely.
I think it'd be pretty awesome.
Cool.
Grimes says, "Holy shit, Mawc, you nailed the music thing absolutely."
Yep.
200
yeah,
times.
Exactly.
Yep.
Yeah, I definitely. That's exactly like my music stuff, man. I don't think any of my songs I would consider finished. Like maybe like 1 or 2 of them, but other than that, man, it's all just mishmash of like random riffs and like, you know, 90% complete things. Maybe not even 90%.
Oh, right here. So. Super Metroid is your primary game right now.
Right.
Do you have any future speed games in mind? Or are you sticking with Super Metroid for a while?
I haven't thought too much about any future ones just because this one has been taking so much of my attention. I've considered Friday the 13th for NES just as a joke, kind of like 10-minute run here and there when I'm bored with Super Metroid or whatever. Mm-hmm. I've learned the strats, but I haven't actually completed a run for that yet. And I practiced that on stream a couple times. But as far as real future, possibly NES Mega Man's and or Super Mario Brothers 3. But that's about it on my radar. I don't really think there's anything else that I'm overly familiar with enough to be confident enough to say that I could speedrun it. You know what I mean?
Right.
Not that I was familiar with Super Metroid at all, because I didn't ever play before I started speedrunning it, pretty much. So that works. But
right. By the way, if the chat has any more questions, like feel free to ask. Did you play any other Metroids prior to Super Metroid, like any like Metroid Fusion or Zero Mission or?
Yeah, I actually I played the NES Metroid. I had that, and I also had Metroid 2 for the Game Boy, and those were the only two that I played. I didn't have a Super Nintendo when I was growing up. I just had an NES and a Game Boy, so it was just one of those things where, you know, my cousins had one, and I like saw Super Metroid at Kmart and remember like touching it once, but that's about it. But in general, yeah, it was Metroid 1 and 2, and I played the crap out of Metroid 2 because that was like the Game Boy game which was most intriguing to me, for sure.
Mm-hmm. By the way, what's up, Taquinho and Fuzda? What's going on?
What's up, guys?
Yeah, Fuzda asked a question for you there.
I would say that it is, yeah, exactly. It's definitely what Einberg just said. Of course, it's to the Jesus. No, you know, it's just all of my fans and their loyal support, and you know, my producer. And, you know, all that shit.
Project based. I'm also interested in how plasma can be involved. Some kind of low percent. Yeah. It's a meme category. Oh, man. So,
percent world record, I guess that is that is true.
Yeah, that's true. You do have that.
I don't know what did I do? I don't think I got the skip in this. Let's see. I'm sure I didn't. Yep. Maybe not. Maybe I did. Oh, hey. Okay. Sorry.
It's all good.
I watched my PB video, and I like went to go refill. I think that's the first time I ever got the skip in a run, so I was like, I'm going to go refill. Oh, wait. I don't have to. It's so funny how little like differences will like totally like change what you have to do, and you have to forget your muscle memory, and it just doesn't happen easily.
Right, yeah, definitely. Do you ever think you'll pick up Project Base as a casual run?
Oh yeah, definitely. I'm actually looking forward to messing with that quite a bit. Tomorrow is SD2 SNES Day, which, by the way, I do want to say a massive thank you to the community. Kojak and Ben Lake kind of banded together and decided to put together a donation drive for me to get an SD2 SNES. I've just been rather tight financially, and I just could not justify spending the $200-ish on one when I have more important things to pay for my family and stuff. And thankfully, it didn't take very long at all, and tomorrow is the day I will be receiving my SD2 SNES, so I'm going to be doing all kinds of ROM hacks, including Project Base. I'm looking forward to it.
We also have a project-based community that's pretty active, so it'll be cool to fall into that. The game is essentially the same, but there's like a lot of different strats for it, which is yeah, but it's interesting. It's a fun playthrough for sure.
I definitely look forward to it. All the sparks look pretty interesting.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, there's like a lot of almost frame perfect spark strats at the end of the game, like all kind of like chained together.
Yep.
It's a lot of fun.
That's amazing.
So did chat have any more questions? I'm trying to see here.
Moon Spark hype. Yeah, that's pretty baller.
Will you still love us after that interview? Famous now.
It's funny, man.
That's basically all the questions I have, but did you have any like shout outs or anything you wanted to say before we pack up here?
Yeah, I definitely want to just, you know, all the friends who I have been running with, since I started. I mean, probably one of the earlier streamers whose stream I got involved with a bunch was Einbert, and he was like super nice and super helpful with advice about the game, and like would answer questions what I would ask him. And I'm sure I was like that annoying noob that asked like, wow, why didn't you bounce when you landed on the ground when you morphed there, and like all that stupid stuff. But you know what, like he took it like a champ, and he's a really cool guy. And when I first started, there was like Kojak and Ben Lake and Scorf and Grommy 122 and just all these guys now, like Cygrade and Mishrak and all these people who we hang out with. It's amazing how helpful everyone is. Everyone's so cool. They all share strats with each other, and it's amazing. The whole community is so cool. So
Right.
I also do GT Classic and GT Code for now, Xvarn, but I'm planning on eventually going to New Route and like possibly a hybrid of New Route and Old Route at first. So that stuff.
That's a question I wanted to ask. What made you want to start running GT?
I wanted to do a different category, not because I was getting bored with any percent, but just because I wanted to see if I could do it. And I figured that one would be a good one because it was the easiest like entry ticket, so to say. Like, for example, you can't run any percent without early ice unless you do Red Tower.
Right.
And that would be the entry ticket to being able to run that run. I would say that GT Classic had like the least difficult entry tickets for me. Like Lava Dive wasn't insanely hard, and Green Gate Glitch wasn't insanely hard. And then suddenly the game was like easy mode after that, So I was like, that seems like a pretty interesting category to run. So I tried it out, and it was pretty cool. I enjoyed it. And then I found out about the escape trigger near the Oceanfly area, and I just saw Lil Dingus's run of GT Code, and I saw him do that, and I was like, oh, I could do that. I thought there was a lot of like out of bounds to it with like wrong warps all the time, and you just kind of fall through the floor, run left through a couple rooms, and then end of the game.
Right.
And that was where it kind of I was like, I could probably beat this game in like 20 minutes or something, and then that's where I started that. So I just got a PB yesterday of 23:10, and that was with 2 safety saves, so it's probably pretty possible to get down to like 22-21 area, I would imagine.
Right.
If I don't fudge things up. But yeah, it's pretty fun. Wins RBO. I'm not sure about that. That's one of the ones like that, and like low percent categories are like the big boy things that I'm being a big wuss about for right now. But maybe when I get my SD2 SNES and I can practice things more seriously, it'll change my opinion on those.
Yeah, that'll be really cool. That's gonna be awesome. For sure. Are you able to use that one move when you get through the door before it closes?
I don't know if he means at like Bomb Torizo. That's what I would imagine.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Okay, I see what he's. That's project based only.
Oh, okay.
Or on PAL, yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah. So this was Mawcdrums. You can follow him at twitch.tv/Mawcdrums. Be sure to go give him a follow because he's a great guy, and he's pretty dang good at Super Metroid, and he has a really chill stream. So be sure to go follow him. But yeah, like I said, if you have anything else you want to say before we end this, like, go for it.
Definitely want to thank you, man. I really appreciate you doing this. This is really cool. A lot of fun. And I think this is a great thing to do, man. It helps everybody get some exposure, and people enjoy it. It's a lot of fun. So I appreciate it. Keep it up, dude.
Yeah, no problem, man. It's always good to not only like come in. I didn't want to make it too serious. I just wanted to come in, hang out, ask a few questions,
Yeah.
stuff like that. So yeah, definitely. Einbert just posted it in chat. Be sure to go throw him a follow. He's a great guy. So
Awesome.
I think that's all I got. So,
Very
Mawcdrums,
cool.
nice talking to you, dude.
Thank you, sir.
And I will see you later, man.